So you think that's a solution? Everybody try to get solar panels.
Solar and wind, so you need the both.
Yeah. And then the government can handle the
electric
stuff.
Well, I think technically companies can too, but you need to figure out how to get licensed to do stuff like that. Because there's a lot of rules about like water management. Like if you technically moving rocks in a river is illegal. Because as the river moves, it changes. If you move the rock, it changes how things are.
Yep.
So
the butterfly effect.
Well, also because that's like how you would regulate not building a dam. It's like if
somebody's like, I just moved a rock once every single day until all of a sudden
I had a dam.
I have a dam.
Yep.
I didn't build a dam.
So technically, beavers are like criminals.
Arrest all the beavers.
Yeah, the beavers
How
are
dare
criminals.
you. Hello, welcome back to Rogues Right. It's been a while, but we're glad to be back and filming another episode. I've been traveling for work, so that's kind of what's been going on. But this time, I'm taking the lead here.
Yep, she's in charge. I'm just gonna sit around and hobo it up.
So I was reading the news the other day.
Oh, that's not good.
I know. It's never a good thing to read the news. Just kidding. It actually is.
Is it?
Well, it helps with some things, but, it helps with knowing what problems there are in the world.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about problems, reading the news is important.
It would be if they actually talked about them. And, how to solve the problems.
Solve them, yeah.
They just go, it feels like everything's just gossip to me at this point.
That's because they found out that that's what sells. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, is news the actual problem? We should do an episode on news sometime.
Yeah, news can be a when it's just gossip and it's not like something like. So the BBC has a lot of people don't like it, but it does. They actually have standards that like America doesn't have because America, everything is at the whim of the
whatever the consumer wants.
No, it's actually at the whim of the advertisers, which is in part what the consumers want, but not necessarily. It's actually just what the advertisers think the consumers want. So maybe in America the real problem is marketers. So, because they're all just trying to get money.
What you're really saying is the real problem is capitalism.
No, that's not true, because it's capitalism where people are lying to each other, which should be that
capitalism.
Honest capitalism is where people are upfront with each other about what they actually value things to be, and they're not trying to manipulate each other into buying things that they don't want. They're not using psychological tactics. I mean, it's okay to use it for communication purposes, but if you're trying to hypnotize people or whatever. But yeah, Britain has a bunch of laws about declaring what's an ad or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, technically YouTube does. But,
I was gonna say, I think the states are starting to kind of roll out stuff like that because I've seen a lot more of it. But I don't know. I mean, I think
movies don't have to declare that the entire film is an ad.
Oh.
Marvel movies don't declare that their films are ads. However, they do partner with the...
How are they ads?
Car companies will pay them to put their cars in the movies. Right. And then it's gotten far enough that they actually made a Marvel commercial with all of the actors for a car.
Where is this? Why have I not seen this?
I've seen it recently. It has the Sam Wilson and...
Everybody that's in Stage 4.
Yeah, it has all the Stage 4 characters.
Okay.
And it's kind of whoa, that was an expensive ad, is what I was thinking.
That was well, yeah. I mean, car companies, they're just rolling in the dough.
I don't know about that. I mean, GM needed to be bailed out, so.
Well, but nobody has a GM or whatever.
Car.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they do. It's just, I think...
They're just not good or something. Anyways, I was reading the news and I saw this article about the UK is having, or I don't know if they're having it yet, or there's definitely the verdict is out between different news sources, but there's a gas shortage either looming on the horizon or already starting to trickle in. And so there's all of this talk about
And when you pull out of the desert, all of a sudden all the gas starts
all the
disappearing
gas
for some
disappeared.
reason. Makes you wonder why
you
we were
know,
there in the first place.
It is weird. Well, I don't know. It's weird because like if I looked at a map of like the sources of gas, and Norway is like the number one source of gas. Norway.
Is that natural gas or is it like
gasoline? It's like natural gas.
Is that oil? And that's different from, you don't put that in a car.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking about oil.
I'm talking about gas, natural gas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
so
in America we do something stupid where we call our petrol gas.
So it's, well, no, but I think that it is because they talked about gas prices going up in the UK. And people started noticing.
That's going to happen everywhere because of a lot of the stuff that's been going on politically.
Right. And yeah.
Prices of all things are going to go up because of
politics.
Well, it has to do with the COVID lockdowns, people being forced to get vaccines and deciding against it, so they get fired.
And then,
people not getting jobs in the first place, so they don't want to put up with that stuff.
Right.
But
yeah. So anyways, they're starting to see the gas prices going up, and then there's all of this talk about over the winter how it's going to affect the UK, and then eventually long term having negative effects on the States and other places.
I mean, the States they have a ton of gas that they can pull from their own states. The issue is we have certain individuals stopping that from happening because they want to go electric. But I mean, electric does seem to be the way of the future if they can get the batteries right. Like, you gotta get the batteries done first.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is they're actually trying to get ahead of the curve.
Bad idea.
By finding a sustainable source.
There's no such thing as a sustainable source of gasoline.
Or what about energy, though?
Yeah, that'd be like solar panels, and that's not necessarily
wind
sustainable.
And stuff.
Like wind. Actually, I think the best is hydroelectric. Dams are wonderful.
Water and stuff.
But it destroys a lot of the environment. But, I mean, by destroy, really what you're saying is you made a lake where there used to be a river.
It recreates the landscape.
Yeah, it recreates the landscape. A lot of the animals that had evolved there have issues with it, but, like...
But who knows what that's actually doing.
Animals can evolve to, like, lakes and get eaten up by a turbine.
Yeah, but like, okay, so we talked about this offline. So maybe we can actually bring it online a little bit. We were talking about the flooding and how, like, Florida and Louisiana and stuff that are basically almost all underwater. And then eventually, if we keep changing changing the landscape is actually having that effect.
Louisiana? Or the main city?
Well, the big city is New Orleans.
Yeah, so
I don't know if that's the capital or not.
New Orleans is literally underwater.
It's below sea level.
It's below sea level. Anytime you're building a city below sea level, you're making a mistake.
Or you're making what's that? Venice.
Venice. No, that's not below sea level. The buildings, I guess it is actually, but it is below sea level. All the buildings are built in a way that are above the water. Level. Yeah.
Very creative.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to build Venice, I guess you can do that.
But hey, you know what? I mean, I can understand why they don't want to pull out of New Orleans in those areas, like because
Venice
they
smells bad because
process
of all the water.
Gas. Those cities are the ones that refine it in such a way that it can be.
So is New Jersey. You just build more, build places and
it's just
in better places.
It's just a lot of money. Oh no, I just did the table scraping thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Back, Kira. No, but it is a lot of money to try to start over. Try to rebuild one of those cities or something.
So, the reason this stuff was built there before is because it was built by French settlers before it was even America.
Right, and they didn't really know landscape that much.
I mean, yeah, they did.
They
just wanted something next to water because they wanted ports.
Right, exactly. So, and now it's now they've screwed everybody that lives there over.
But it's not just that. Because of the global warming stuff and the ice caps melting, which they do, and then they freeze again, but then they melt. Because technically, so here's the deal. If you look at it from long-term stuff, a lot of people say that the world is coming out of it, like finishing its ice age. We are technically still in an ice age, because usually there aren't polar caps. They're like if you believe the million years planet, according to that science,
there shouldn't be polar caps up in the
unless
north,
you're in an ice age.
In the south,
but
and on the poles of the Earth.
There's no polar caps. They actually think there's probably a lot of fossils underneath of Antarctica that
we can't get to.
That you can't get to because there's like
Captain
a mile
America
of ice.
is out there.
Yeah, maybe Captain America's under there. That wouldn't make any sense though. But
we don't have any record of him in history.
Maybe some aliens.
Oh, that would be fun.
Like,
find some aliens out there.
What's his name? Clark Kent.
Oh my gosh. Wait, is he supposed to be? Oh, because his Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't.
I actually in that film I really appreciated the Fortress of Solitude being a spaceship rather than just like this ice thing that just showed up.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So you think that there shouldn't be any ice caps?
I did it. No, I like potentially there, like some of the science is saying that usually there isn't ice caps, and so we're technically still in an ice age because of that. And so as we pull out of the ice age,
it's gonna change a lot of the way things look around here.
Yeah, but we probably won't pull out of the ice age entirely for like
in our lifetimes. So
no, in like the lifetime of humanity. It's just but as things slowly change, maybe quickly change, actually, it's possible that it could happen quickly because of runaway greenhouse effects and stuff like that.
What do you mean? What are runaway greenhouse effects?
So a runaway greenhouse effect is when your planet is creating gas. Like it is the gases of the planet start becoming too much, and like certain variables.
Too much CO2.
Well, the CO2 can help warm the planet, and if the planet gets too warm, then a lot of the water evaporates, and you get a lot of like crazy storms. And so,
well, if we have a lot of ice, then that shouldn't be a problem.
But what I'm saying is, what happened with what do you call it? Like a lot of those gas giants is that their size changes, like, and their makeup changes. What materials are the gases that are being greenhoused? But they are a example of runaway greenhouse effects where like things will like quickly spiral out of control because of or out of stability because of one thing leading to another. That's what the global warming people, like the actual like scientists,
and
are
that's
the
kind of
most
what I
worried
would
about.
say about the what do you call it whenever you change the water energy? Hydroelectric. The changing water patterns and things like that is like what actual effect is that actually having?
It changes a lot, but it also gives us a lot of energy to change other things for like basically free after you build the structure.
Once you build it,
like if you build it like the Hoover Dam, like the Hoover Dam can run by itself for 20 years without anyone help like doing anything because of the engineering involved in it. The Hoover Dam is awesome. Like it is a cool structure. But it can run. Some people say that if all of the humans on Earth just died, the Hoover Dam would be the last thing.
Energy source.
Not just that, it would be the last structure that would still exist. Like the pyramids would dissolve before the Hoover Dam does.
What? So people upkeep the pyramids? I didn't know that.
No, it's just that they would dissolve. It's just based off of how they're built. They're built more poorly than the Hoover Dam is. Like the Hoover Dam still has wet concrete in it. Like the concrete is still wet because it hasn't dried. It's
because
so
of
thick.
the water?
No, it's just so
just
thick.
because it's so thick.
They're blocks of concrete that
Which
are
makes
so thick.
sense because, like, I don't know if this is just because of media influence or whatever, but whenever I think about dams, it just makes me nervous. Like, because you're always seeing in movies and
Oh,
stuff,
dams
they're always
breaking.
breaking.
Yeah, if they're not built like...
If they're not built well.
If they weren't built by, like, World War II people who, like, knew how to build stuff.
Why do only World War II people know how to build
Because they were the best generation.
Oh my god.
And they over-engineered everything.
Everybody says
They
that.
invented, like, the atomic bomb. They went nuclear
That's true,
before
they
anything else did. Though, technically, I think they have evidence of a natural nuclear reaction happening...
Before
in Africa.
we found it?
Yeah, there was a mine.
Natural nuclear...
Mm-hmm.
I'm
they thought that that's absolutely impossible, but
that's what I'm thinking.
They found evidence of it in like a mine in Africa or something like that.
Wow.
Which
the likelihood of that coincidence happening almost makes me think if that was possible, we could possibly have a Big Bang. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's one way
of that just happening.
No, not really, actually, because a nuclear... Every star is a nuclear situation. So there's a lot of... You look up at night and you see nukes everywhere. It's just...
waiting to happen.
It happens. Anyway,
the designer is brilliant.
You're talking about problems. What was your problem again? Natural gas.
Natural gas is disappearing. Well, it's not disappearing.
It's not disappearing. There's plenty of it on what do you call it? I think it's Iceland.
Norway.
No, Iceland.
Oh, Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland. Their natural gas stuff is making them rich right now.
Oh.
Iceland's having like a huge.
I shouldn't have gotten rid of that map so we could have looked at it.
They're having like a huge wealth growth or boom because of the natural gas.
Mm.
Yeah. Which is great. Good on Iceland.
So, yeah.
Even though your whole country smells like a fart. It's a beautiful place.
Okay. So, where does the UK get its gas imports? It looks
that's
like
where UK
this
gets
is where
it.
the UK gets it.
Yeah, but
that's not where it comes from in general.
Yeah. I can see why they would get it from Norway because it's just right
close.
there.
It's right there.
And the Netherlands as well.
Yeah. But I mean, they don't get that much from the Netherlands. Trinidad, Tobago.
They get it from the US too, which is a little weird.
Well, no. I mean,
they're sitting there in Qatar though.
Qatar. Yeah. Yep. But anyways, I mean, so there's actually like conflicting voices on this too, because the article I first read was like, oh yeah, like this is a big deal, like they don't have gas and they're gonna all be cold in the winter and stuff like that. And then this article that I found on the BBC, which you said has standards, although they're going to try to make it look like it's not as bad as it is.
No, that's not necessarily true. They try to make things... They
don't want to send people into panic. They have rules
that disallow certain types of extremists...
But just naturally,
type thing.
Like, if you are... Okay, first of all, they interviewed the energy secretary. If you're the energy secretary of the UK and there's a possible energy shortage, you're going to want to tell everybody, it's not really that bad. Yeah. Literally chill out because you're not going to have heat this winter.
Well,
I'm just kidding. It's not that
can cut down.
Well, yeah. But...
Like... I lived in a place where it was below freezing and we didn't have any heat. So, like, sometimes people would build fires in their house. Like, they'd have little pits. It wasn't like a fireplace. It was like a... Open pit kind of thing. It was like an open fire. Some people have these on their porches or whatever in America, but people where I was, they...
Put it in the house?
They put it in their house.
Does it keep it warm?
Yeah.
It works pretty well.
You just have to stand next to it.
I feel like it would get really smoky. They have like a whole...
They leave their
like
windows
a ventilation
open everywhere.
system.
They leave their
even in the winter.
Yeah, they like airflow. They care a lot about air circulation for some reason.
Huh. That I feel like that would be counterintuitive.
No,
but I guess I don't know. We just do things differently.
They care a lot about air circulation for health situations.
Yeah.
They don't care how cold you get. I mean, you could always put clothes on, and they have like little heaters, like electric heaters.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. They didn't have any indoor heating. Once you get across the river, then to north, like we were just at the point where they don't have indoor heating.
Do you think people? And they probably like built up more of a tolerance for it too, because they just
I didn't mind it actually. It wasn't that bad. It would get a little cold at my sister's house,
mm-hmm. But you had also lived in Minnesota when you were in the States.
Yeah,
so that is
true.
Like a whole nother.
I'll go on walks at like in a t-shirt in like -3 degrees.
Oh my gosh,
for like
that's a whole nother level for people who live down more south.
Yeah, that was
like my cousin's out in Colorado, and she was like sending pictures in June. Like, we just got snow. Nice. I was like, what in the world? It's June.
One thing that was bad about Minnesota is when it was actually spring. I didn't like early spring where everything was melting, because everything was disgusting.
It's just soggy and nasty looking.
Late spring was really nice.
Yeah.
But early spring was just not my favorite. I enjoyed winter. It was super cold. Sometimes it would snow a lot. When it wouldn't snow, it was a little annoying because it was just cold without snow.
It's just cold.
It would get so cold, it would be too cold to snow. Which is
my goodness.
Similar to like some of the situations
ice
in Antarctica.
Storms kind of thing.
No,
ice storms.
Just nothing.
No water.
It was
nothing.
Just overcast skies. Nothing falls.
Ew, that's gross.
Yeah,
that is pretty gross. Snow's pretty. It's like
It was really nice. It was like walking into Narnia every once in a while when it would actually snow. You just take a walk in the woods, and it was beautiful.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess you could just get used to it. But so I don't know. Okay, so this is a gas shortage. So this is different from just like energy in general. But they're talking about they talk about both like gas prices and like heating and keeping the lights on and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of, I feel like it influences both electricity and gas. And I think this is something people have been talking about for a while. Like that this is going to be happening. So I trying to get ahead of
solution wise, I don't like wind. Everyone's super hype about wind.
Yeah.
I like wind for your like personal house. I think that's nice. Like if you have solar and wind, so that way you can have some power in the evening.
A little bit of both.
Especially if you like if it's like overcast and stuff, wind is nice because it will help
replace
mitigate
if there's
some of the problems.
Yeah.
And it works at night too, which is nice.
They kind of like supplement each other.
Yeah, so if you have both,
yeah.
But for your like personal, I think it'd be nice if everyone just got off the grid and went
no energy
full
whatsoever.
Electric. No, they went full electric, but they had solar and wind to power their houses and cars.
Okay.
So like the power of their life. And then they could sell their stuff to the grid for all the people who are still on the grid. But I do think it would be good for a country like, as we talk about like nuclear wars potentially, or bad wars where people are just missiling each other or throwing drones at each other instead of boots.
Throwing drones.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like we as a people have not evolved past just throwing rocks at each other. Like we really haven't. It's just went from rock to spear.
We just dressed it up in really fancy clothes now. We're just
shooting stuff
for kerfluffle on top of it. We're just like
when we were using swords
rocks.
was like the only time we like evolved past just throwing rocks, and then we just got back to it again.
That's really not. No.
Yeah, it is. It's actually really difficult to build a sword, and then you learn how to use it. Most people use spears because it was a lot easier and cheaper
to just throw it.
Yeah, spears.
And it's less dangerous because you're not getting as up close.
I would say historically the spear is the most used weapon ever of all things.
Wow.
Because
that's a bold statement.
Yeah, it's easy to make. It probably killed more people than anything else too.
I'm no war expert, so I don't know.
I think spears killed more people than guns because guns have only been around for like a couple of years. And spears could have between 6,000 to like 40,000 years.
The thing about that, though, is, like, if you consider, like, how many people a gun, like, one bombshell or one, can actually take out, it's at one time, and a spear can take out probably, like, 3 people.
If you're David's
tops
Mighty
at
Men.
one time.
If you're one of David's Mighty Men, it takes out 800.
Well, not at one time. Like, it took them a battle to do that. Yeah, so, time. Like, one missile can take out 800 people in, like, 1 minute.
No, it can't. And they'd all have to be together, and I don't even think a missile would be able to... It depends on how big the bomb was. If it was a nuke, yeah, but if it was, like, a regular, like, explosive...
But still, I'm just saying, like, when you consider
Anyways, we're still throwing stuff at each other, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten past that.
It's not really hilarious, but, I mean, we can just pretend like it's hilarious to make ourselves feel better about ourselves.
I think for those situations, everyone getting off the grid as much as possible would be a huge defense against attacks. Because if an attack happens and everyone's power goes out, no one has the ability to retaliate or do anything or be ready for an invasion or anything like that at all. But if you have power... You can actually organize, you can talk to each other, you can get ready for a retaliation or a invasion. The idea of having a centralized grid is stupid.
Where does that idea come from? I've never heard of that before.
The idea of having a centralized grid?
Is that what the federal government is trying to do?
No, it's that we have I think we have 3 grids in America. Like, Texas has its own grid, and that's why they're having trouble in the winter.
Oh.
Because they were having trouble with their grid. I forgot. It's either 3 or 4 grids. But yeah, I forgot what the other ones were. But
this is obviously not my area of expertise.
But if you shut them down, it's not mine either, but if you shut one of them down, everyone has troubles. Especially if everyone's on electric vehicles. Oh my gosh, that'd be so dumb. Yeah, if we're going to go electric vehicle...
Because they couldn't charge them.
Yeah, everything would be shut down if electric went out and everything was electric.
Yeah, but I mean, if we run out of gas, then even having, like, a mechanical vehicle is not going to help. It won't make any
running out of gas isn't centralized. There's a ton of companies selling gas and mining for the oil. So it's not centralized, and it's not
as much as energy.
It's also not run by the government.
Right.
So, like, gas is a decentralized thing. People can get it because they want to sell it. Capitalism, the reason capitalists like gas companies a lot more and, like, the liberals want everything to go electric is because it actually has to do with the centralization thing.
It has to do with the whole idea of spread it out amongst the people. That way,
like, you notice,
nobody has
oddly
excessive
enough,
power.
Liberals don't talk about solar much. They want wind farms, but they don't want wind farms to kill the birds.
Right.
They don't want...
That's been backfiring on
They don't want any hydroelectric stuff because it kills... it uproots environments.
Yeah, messes environments. Who knows what it will actually do to the planet.
But they don't talk about solar because... Solar has its own problems when it comes to trash. They do, though.
I mean, a lot of people in
on
California...
the right are way more into solar than anyone else. Oh. It's mostly because they're trying to get off the grid.
Yeah, I have heard that a lot. But I mean, like, California, they have incentives for people that go solar. And so...
Because they need to have incentives because
the
liberals won't do it.
Oh...
One, because they don't have any money in California, because everyone's spending all their money on their house.
Well, and taxes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is, like, why, if Republicans are so, like, for solar, then why don't we see more of it on the East Coast?
It's not a lot of Republicans here. There's Republicans everywhere in all states.
Yeah, there are, but
everywhere.
I mean, like, I would say, like,
city versus
the highest concentration of Republicans, like Florida, Texas, like Georgia. I mean, I guess those aren't like the East Coast, but it's kind of like that, like.
I don't know if that's true. I don't think there's such thing as a concentration of Republicans, which is actually Republicans' problem. Like, they don't have Republican cities.
Oh,
They don't exist. It's always cities
That's
versus
true.
the country. Like in
Yeah,
California has
yeah.
tons of Republicans. It used to be a Republican state, so much so that like Hollywood made jokes about like California ever becoming Democrat. Like
What?
in
How
in their
long ago
movies.
was this?
Like
When
like
was
black and white
this?
films. Like
Oh,
they
like
used
in the 40s.
yeah, they used to make
Okay.
jokes. Like it was like when hell freezes over was like when California became Democrat. Like that's how Republican it used to be.
Wow. Well, hell is frozen now. Guess who's
and
laughing
California's
now?
on fire. California's lit.
Oh,
But
I should stop laughing at that. It's not funny.
dark humor. Someone's gotta laugh.
Ugh, somebody's gotta laugh. Maybe Ben Shapiro will laugh.
But he'll never see us.
That's true. That's not true. One day
We'll see.
we'll see.
I think yeah, I think Republicans are probably more in
favor of solar panels.
it's probably the Republican libertarians
Okay.
mostly. They're
Well,
just
I
like,
have this.
get me off the grid. I hate
um,
these people. I hate paying for this stuff.
The problem
I want them to pay
that
me.
I have,
Pay me for my electric.
okay, so
Make my own.
there is there's more solutions coming
Green
out.
coal.
Yeah, so okay, this is actually a company that we know some people. They started it, and it's still getting off the ground, and it's been kind of in the works for about 8 years.
Is the thing in Korea?
Yeah, they started in Korea.
Yeah.
Yep, and they use waste to create energy.
That's good.
Yeah.
What kind of waste? Like plastic?
Yeah, any kind of waste. Coal waste, like
Just trash?
yeah, like
Can they build one of those in King George so that way we can get rid of that dang mountain?
dump. Well, that's the problem that
King
they're
George.
having right now is like some kind of regulatory issue on how they build the plants and stuff or something. There's something wrong.
Yeah, because
That's why
just
they got
burning
kicked-
trash is a problem.
They got kicked out of Korea,
Yeah, I didn't know they got kicked out. That's a...
and that set them back a lot.
that's a
So
boo-boo.
then they started trying to rebuild in Pennsylvania. And they've been working on rebuilding in Pennsylvania.
No one
but
cares how that state smells.
I'm gonna say something that would be so insensitive, but I won't. But anyways, it's been taking them forever because like every time, because it's a startup company, they haven't gotten any profits off of it yet. And so every time they have one of these setbacks, they have to go back to their investors and be
Are
like,
they just calling it
please,
green
can
coal?
we have some more money? Yeah, there isn't, I don't think there's actually anything that's like
Actually green about it?
green coal. It's like, they use coal, they use other
Are
like,
the stones green?
no, I don't think
It's like green eggs and ham?
And it's just like, it's supposed to be like, this is like a sustainable energy
But is it?
source. Well,
Because you're burning something that...
I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they're burning it. Here, let's
use
look
acid
at about
and-
GCS.
Our mission. Our vision.
To be the global leader of the mineral fiber industry and the preeminent producer of mineral fiber by delivering unmatched product quality and innovation to our stakeholders through the restoration and conservation of our environment. Man, they used way too many words to explain that.
And none of it actually has to do with what they do.
I was going to say, unless maybe I'm looking at the wrong website. This may not actually even be them. To provide the global mineral fiber and pulp industry with quality, innovative, safe, reasonable priced, eco-friendly, and value-added solutions while creating meaningful jobs within our community.
This isn't talking about energy. This is either...
This is like minerals.
This is either... Like, green coal is not actually about making energy,
Coal
or this
ash
is
to
something
pulp
else.
production. This may be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let's try this. Green Coal Solutions. Innovation.
It's the same company.
Yeah, innovation that preserves the planet. We clean the environment of coal ash and save trees by repurposing it into 6 different mineral fibers.
They're not actually making
so
energy.
it's not energy.
No,
They make it into some
they're
kind
taking
of...
coal and making coal green. Like they're taking the coal that already exists and trying to make it like a green thing.
Yeah.
Where, okay, that's
converting coal byproducts into globally sought products while minimizing the industry's impact on our environment.
I don't understand how that actually helps.
What kind of products?
It probably...
Oh, view our products. Here we go.
Pulp was one of them.
GCS Fibers products. Paper, friction material fibers, construction material fibers, clothing, household and personal production.
But this isn't going to create energy. This is just fixing our sins. This is penance.
Yeah, this is just
This is energy penance.
Well, that's a flop.
That's why they probably aren't going to go very far.
Yeah. Man, so I thought that I was like looking for different ways that people were trying to come up with sustainable energy versus just, wind, water.
Hydroelectric is awesome, man.
Sun.
When I was, Steven and I, your brother and I, when we were in 4-H, they told us to make a design for, our 4-H was a little different. It wasn't like raising cows and pigs. It was like building robots. And rockets. Because we had like a computer engineer as our
What does 4-H
leader.
stand for again?
I don't know.
Oh.
But usually it's like a farming thing. But
usually? I thought they just had like all different kinds. So like it could be, like...
When people think about 4-H...
STEM-based, it could be agricultural-based.
When people do 4-H, they usually think about like a farming situation.
So that's probably just me because I was raised like...
Because you knew your brother went to...
Knowing you guys were going to like a STEM-based 4-H.
Yeah. And so we had to come up with an idea for a green energy. And we were like, what if we did windmills underwater, that would go with currents. It would like move with the current. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, you'd kill the fish. And we're like... I remember thinking like, but it would make a lot of electricity. You kill the turtles.
You kill the turtles.
When I was a kid, so
just thinking about like Finding Nemo on the scene when they're surfing the
the turtles,
and then it's like
boom, whack,
dead.
I remember thinking that we'd make a lot of energy, and they'd learn to go around it.
They'd learn to go,
or they'd die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember thinking something like that, but we ended up trying to come up with some sort of we had a lot of trouble with that. The
energy.
No, the windmill nature of our design because of what they were up to. And they're like, "Oh, you'd kill animals." But we were like, "Hey, this idea of like having a windmill that would like move under the ocean.
How do you...
We were really naive because we were kids. Because we based it off of like the ocean floor, which was really stupid because like the current is like way up there.
Up. Yeah.
So what would probably be more useful is to get like a chain going all the way down to the ocean floor over the current, and or under the current, and then having like a floating thing, and then having the windmill be upside down.
Yeah.
Like have a floating station that would move. And the chain would allow it to move because it would be long enough, but, yeah.
Do you think that could actually work?
No, I have no hope for that. It'd be way, way, way cheaper to just build a dam. Not cheaper. It would be way more effective. Because you need like a ton of these things in order to get in the ocean. Yeah.
Build a dam in the ocean.
No.
Okay, because you were saying in the ocean.
No, why would you need energy in the ocean? No one lives out there.
No. But
that was my point.
You harness it and you put it, and they have like storage.
Yeah.
You could store it in
and then you have to move
it.
If you just
Yeah,
if you
that
just
gets
had
really
a
messy.
dam plugged into the grid, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if we get really desperate one day, we're
Solar.
out of all of
Just
our
get
out
a
of
bunch
all
of
of our
solar
options.
panels. Actually, someone made it.
How expensive is it to build solar panels? Though?
They're pretty expensive.
That's what I was
They're
thinking.
they're like $1,500 a
But
piece.
are they expensive because it's just not popular?
They're expensive because it's a new technology.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work as well as you would want it to.
Because, like, 30, 40 years ago, a computer was really, really expensive.
Yeah, my grandfather's entire farm runs on solar, which is nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is really
it costed him like $45,000.
Wow, that's very expensive.
But it also
will it pay for? I don't think it'll.
Him.
Okay, so the government is compensating him
and
for that.
And whoever he sells the farm to before he dies would probably give him a ton of money if he does sell the farm. Mm-hmm. Because of the solar panels already being there, so they don't ever need to buy electric.
They won't make
stuff.
that back though. Like you won't make at least $4,000 on not paying.
40,000.
40,000.
Yeah.
You will not make $40,000. Like it won't be worth it.
Well, it's running an entire farm. It's not just running a house.
Yes, but still, like if you were to compare, and maybe this isn't a fair comparison, but if you were to compare whatever the electric bill would have been for the next however long he has the farm to $40,000, it won't pay for itself, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but I don't know if that's true. I think to some extent it could, maybe not in his lifetime, but because it's already set up.
Now it will, eventually. It's
also,
more of a legacy type thing.
No, also the government pays him for electricity because he can give it to the government, like the grid.
Do you know how much?
I think he gets paid like $200 every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But because he gives the excess energy to the grid.
Yeah.
Which I think if more people did that,
it could actually be really good.
It would also make grid electricity a lot cheaper because all of a sudden, the grid is being bombarded with a bunch of extra electricity, which is actually a problem. You need to figure out how to do that, how to manage that
without it.
Because if you have
overloaded,
if you have too little electricity, the grid falls apart. And if you have too much electricity, the grid falls apart. Which is why wind is super stupid, because like every once in a while it might be like super windy.
Yeah. So surge ebbs and flows.
It would be a surge, and then it would also like have too little electricity every once in a while where there's not enough wind. Also, windmills are super expensive to make. Super expensive to dismantle when they're retired. Like they're super expensive to trash.
But so are solar panels.
They're not as bad because they're smaller.
Not as bad.
Not on a personal level. You just a windmill is like a tower that you have to build. Like a big windmill is like a tower you have to build, and you have a bunch of them because you need a bunch of them in order to be effective.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the solar panel thing, and it just might be worth it in the sense that if there were to be an energy crisis where all of a sudden
you're in charge,
all of these countries don't have,
literally in charge,
you have the energy, you hold the market or whatever. So
you didn't catch my pun, did you?
Oh gosh.
You're in charge.
That's nasty.
What?
That's for Don if he's watching.
What's wrong? What are you nasty?
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Come on. I just think puns are nasty, man.
Why?
Because they're puns.
Why? Like literally.
Because I'm too pretentious for that.
Do you dislike poetry?
I don't.
Puns are the root of poetry.
Honestly, you're right though, and I don't actually appreciate poetry that much. If I'm gonna be honest, I do like music, but I like it when people say stuff like in a very
creative way.
Yeah, and I feel like poetry is like they wanted to add a bunch of extra words. I don't know. I guess not all poetry is like that. I don't know. I haven't really sat down and contemplated my relationship to poetry.
I think there's like 6-word poems. Those are neat.
6-word poems.
It's kind of like the vines, but
oh yeah,
but with
or like
words.
a haiku kind of thing.
Yeah, haikus are neat. I like haikus.
Yeah.
Those are, I think, 7 words.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
no, 7 sentences.
7. I was gonna say, wait, that doesn't sound right.
7 sentences. 7 sentences.
And do they have
7
like
lines.
a limit of words in each sentence?
No,
think?
they
It's
have
like
a
cadence.
They have a cadence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like it's 6 words, 6 words, 7 words, 6 words, or something like that.
Something like that.
I don't remember.
It's been a long time. I remember learning about that when I was like
I think I wrote a haiku
10.
once.
Once. Either way, I don't know. Puns are nasty to me, but that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of like the world's gonna run out of energy and who knows what we're gonna do. We all have to pay $40,000 for solar panels or something.
No, you wouldn't have to pay that much for a regular house. He has a large
farm. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So he has like.
So you think that's a solution? Everybody try to get solar panels.
Solar and wind. So you need the both.
Yeah.
And
then the government can handle the hydro
electric
stuff.
Well, I think technically companies can too, but you need to figure out how to get licensed to do stuff like that. Because there's a lot of rules about like water management. Like if you technically moving rocks in a river is illegal. Because as the river moves, it changes. If you move the rock, it changes how things are.
Yep.
So
the butterfly effect.
Well, also because that's like how you would regulate not building a dam. It's like
somebody's like, I just moved a rock once every single day until all of a sudden
I had a dam.
I have a dam.
Yep.
I didn't build a dam.
So technically, beavers are like criminals.
Arrest all the beavers.
Yeah, the beavers are criminals. Which is why, because I believe in natural law, and I think all laws should be based off of natural law. I think that it is sad. Like it's hard. The water management one is a really difficult conversation because if you're upstream, you could just shut off water for everyone if you wanted to.
And you want to keep that power from somebody if you possibly can.
If you possibly can. However,
but then at the same time,
it is their land.
The beavers are doing
beavers
that whenever the heck they want.
Yeah, beavers do that,
and nobody puts them in jail.
It's natural law. That's what they do.
Right.
They might exterminate them if they become like a nuisance.
Yeah.
Which I mean is an option to people if they become a nuisance about it.
Exterminate.
But, I mean that's technically what we do whenever like we have issues. We go to war with each other. And we're like, hey, you're damming up our water. We need to drink too.
Or we just
if you don't let us drink, we'll kill you. Like, I mean, that's
drone strike.
Or you can just actually show up like a decent
person.
Like
a decent person. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of decent people in office recently. They've done a lot of drone strikes and stuff.
I was talking to Steven about this. I said I think one of our problems is that our presidents don't actually go to war.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Ever since, like, Washington, no one's actually gone to war.
All of them?
During their presidency.
Oh.
Washington's the only one who's actually gone into battle while being a president. Because during the Whiskey Rebellion,
I always
he went
thought that was, like, a really weird concept. Actually, like, when you think about the king or, going into battle, I thought that's actually, like, I'm like, this is a really bad idea.
No, it's not.
Because he could die.
It doesn't matter.
What do you do if the king dies?
You replace him with his son.
What if he doesn't have a son?
Kings have sons. They make sons.
Josiah in the Bible was 8 years old. He couldn't have had a son.
Well, Josiah didn't go.
He shouldn't have gone. He wasn't.
You
don't go to war. Don't go to war unless you have a son.
No, unless you're war aged, and if you're war aged, you have a son.
Okay.
It just might not be with the queen.
Why did I laugh like that?
Because
it's awkward.
Well, it's because you need a son in a monarchy in order to maintain the monarchy.
Right.
Also, like, it's not just you who needs a son, it's all the people who work for you need you to have a son. Like, all of the lords need you to have a son in order to maintain stability, or else the lords will go to war with each other over who's the next king.
Right. So, but the thing, here's what I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because, like, I've been raised in America.
A president is so easy. You just replace him with whoever's next in line. Vice, and then the vice dies, then you go with the...
State.
No, the next one is...
Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. And then after that, I forgot who.
Secretary.
I don't know who it is. Secretary of State makes so much sense to be in line because like they're dealing with foreign policy
and
but
and making sure all the states
my
get
perspective
along.
is that it is so easy to replace a president compared to a king.
And it actually does make a lot of sense, but here's the thing is like when you're playing chess, like you're not like, let me just move my king, like
yeah, no, you need to be careful about it. You like, for instance, Lincoln technically didn't go to war, but he went to the battles. He visited the battles while the bodies were rotting, like, and they were trying to move the bodies. Like he actually was involved in the war. He wasn't just like sitting
back
his
in the office
all
saying,
the time.
Go this way and go over
like
there and do this and
like
that.
I think there's like kings when they went to battle, like sometimes they would actually fight, but a lot of time they just they watched the battle and gave orders on how to handle the battle, in like a chess match. Yeah. But sometimes they would actually go to battle, them and the king's guard, and I think the idea, because the reason I say this is a president's only two jobs are like to veto stupid bills, so that way he doesn't have to go to war with his own country. Which is why a veto exists. Because of otherwise the Civil War. No, not because of the Civil War. Just because Civil War in general. Because it avoids a civil war over certain laws that people disagree with. Like if the president super disagreed with a law, but the law got passed anyway, because he didn't have a veto power, he might just go,
I'm not going to enforce this.
I'm not going to enforce this. So he might just like go declare martial law and say,
we're not doing
we're throwing all of the representatives out and getting new ones. Because so it avoids, the veto power avoids like a civil war situation, because his responsibility is entirely martial. It's military and like domestic policing situations. That's all the president's job should be. And so the fact that he doesn't like actually get involved in the war,
actually like, fighting the war, like
he doesn't get his hands dirty as much. Like he might like call drone strikes, which is a recent thing, and that is a little bit more involved than what some people had been doing throughout history. But he does not. They're not usually like calling the shots as much
into war,
and they're not trained for it either. That's like another thing. I actually really like the idea of like military people being voted in to run the military.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I think we talked about like back in, what was the election where it was John
McCain versus Obama.
Yeah, it was like, okay, it actually does make a lot of sense that
a military
whoever
person
you're voting in should have
rather than
military
an event
experience.
Planner. Like Obama was an event planner or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like someone who like was I think he was a prisoner of war. John McCain. That's why his arms were broken.
Oh yeah.
So
John McCain was he was definitely
like he actually fought and he actually survived and suffered for America. Whereas like, let's plan an event in Chicago.
But it's all like, consumer based, and people are very about like marketing is literally like con artist, a legal version of being a con artist.
Yep, that's what a marketer is.
That's what a marketer is.
Yes, they are illegal con artists.
And so they've learned
when the product sucks, they are legal con artists.
Yeah.
So if they're like selling a product that actually is good
product,
like if they're working for a good company, then they're not con artists. They're just artists.
But their whole goal is to manipulate your psychology in such a way that makes you think that you want the thing that they want you to want. And that's kind of what politics has turned into.
It's a deep con. Oh yeah, the politics. Really, the solution is to stop voting. Not stop voting, but to
stop paying them.
Well, yeah, that would be a solution if we can all get together and all at the same time, like all the Republicans and some of the Democrats who would agree, to just stop paying taxes until we get what we want. Like that's.
Or if we could just find a way to stop paying lawmakers.
No,
Like, because
I
we
think
need
it's
the
funny.
taxes for other things.
Andrew Yang has a really good point about paying lawmakers.
Okay,
If
let
you
me
don't
know.
pay them enough, they will get the money from
Less than.
illegal
Yeah.
causes or illegal situations. Which,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, here's the thing about lawmakers. I think they make like $140,000 a year or something like that. The representatives,
Mm-hmm.
but they are all millionaires. So it's like, how did that happen? AOC
It's
was a
'cause
bartender,
I-
and now she's a millionaire. So what's going on here?
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
Paying $30,000 for a
Huh?
Met Gala ticket.
Who's supplying this monies?
Donators.
Yeah, $30,000 of her $100,000 a year salary. That's like, okay, not let's talk about taxes. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about that.
Like,
yeah.
where is she paying taxes on that $100,000 a year and $30,000
Yeah.
donation to like costume parties?
It's all about
Talk about charity.
It's
It's
all
like,
about
what-
the
I think
constituents.
It's like a charity for the arts, but really the
Donating.
money's just like going to like a costume party or something like that.
The Met Gala.
Yeah,
Is it gala or
gala.
gala?
I don't care. It's all
Either one.
stupid.
The
I
Met.
agree. Eat the rich. Start with her. Like,
You said eat the rich?
yeah. She has the. She
It
wore a
said
dress.
tax the rich.
Tax the rich.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. I think we should eat the rich.
Eat the rich. Okay.
I think that was one
Let
of
them
her-
eat cake.
I think she actually has a T-shirt that says "Eat the Rich,"
Oh
and so I
man.
was like, oh, "Hey, start with
And
you."
we'll start with you.
Like, who's rich? We're all rich in this country. Like, even the poor
That's
people.
true.
Not like the people
Well-
in like West Virginia aren't like rich compared to the rest of the world. And some of them are. Like, there's some
middle
nice stuff
class.
in West Virginia. Middle class is super rich,
Yeah.
and even some of the poor class is
It's
actually
actually
rich, super rich.
better off than.
No, I would say super rich compared to like the $2 an hour, like Mexican labor. A friend of mine in East Asia was making $4 an hour as a assistant teacher.
Wow.
So,
But is that, well, I don't know about salary relationship to actual, like, whether you're rich or poor or whatever, because it also depends on, like, the living expense of the area and the economy of the area and
but the
stuff.
reason
like,
that those things are expensive is actually directly tied to like how much money everyone's making.
yeah.
So like
Yeah. Because like you can live in New York and make 6 figures and actually live in a dump and not look like you're well off, but you're making 6 figures.
yeah, and it's because cities are trash, and everyone should leave them.
Or just New York.
I think we should let them. Like we should
Burn
just
themselves to the
we shouldn't let them burn themselves to the ground, but we should let them crumble
Oh.
because. Like, I know a lot of people like cities, and they like the idea of, like...
Being close to things and being close to people and having that community and
I just...
all of the industrial
It can be
innovation.
Nice. Not having to own a car actually does sound
is actually
nice.
helpful, and the fact, like, all of the industrial development that happens in cities is actually very...
You mean redevelopment? They're just trying to keep the city alive. They're not developing anything. They're just redeveloping.
Well, the credit card companies are doing pretty well.
They're rebuilding cities. That's why, like,
oh,
they're not building a city. They're rebuilding it because it's falling apart.
because they existed before, like, because...
Yeah, the cities have already existed.
Because they were, like,
have already
ports
been built.
and stuff.
Like, the cities have already been built. Like, a lot of the towers are old.
Yeah, but some of them aren't. And they build newer stuff. I mean, like, I would say, like, Tyson's Corner and stuff, like, in Washington, D.C., like, that wasn't... That's all actually really new.
Yeah.
Like, those buildings haven't even been around for, like, 30 years.
Yeah, they do build stuff, but, like, I don't know. It's just, why would you continue to build? I think we have too many people. Let's go, Bill Gates.
Oh no, no, no,
I'm
no,
on-
no,
I'm
no.
on Team
Let's
Gates.
not go down that road. Let's
go
not
less
do that
people.
one. No. There's not too many people.
There are too many people.
There are not too many people.
You haven't lived in East Asia.
Okay. There are not too many people in the United States.
I lived in a small area in East Asia. There's a lot
No,
of
they're
people.
they're just all concentrated in the wrong places. We just gotta figure out a way to spread them out.
Like building new cities, so we can have more democratic policies.
No, so that we can spread people out some more, and then
Yeah, we have
I
too
don't
many
know
people.
where I was going with that.
I think we have too many people to be considered one country.
You've said this
Yeah.
before.
No, yeah, because
And
like
at face value, it sounds like reasonable.
I think there was a founding father. I forgot who it was. I think it might have been Madison. It might not even be true. It might be a misquote. But I had heard a quote by one of the founding fathers at one time that was like, tyranny is like 10,000 men represented by one. Which is kind of like,
That's like, whoa.
yeah.
We do that all the time.
Way
You see, what
others.
had happened was...
Yeah, we grew. We got too big. We can't put
What
that
were
many
they
representatives
doing
in.
before?
Huh? What?
They had...
Not having that many people.
They didn't have 10,000 people
What?
for a representative?
No. Like King George was a small place. Or
Yeah,
this county
like,
area.
okay, wait, like 10,000 people is a small place. Like,
Now it is. It wasn't
yeah.
back then.
I don't think Colonial Beach
It wasn't
has
back then, like,
10,000 people in it.
Like major cities were like 4,000 people.
Wow.
Or not? No, 20,000 people. Sorry. Yeah, major cities were like 20,000 people.
I was like,
Yeah, but like cities were like 4,000 people.
right. Like a Fredericksburg to us.
Yeah, would be like
Would
a 4,000 people group.
Yeah.
Area. And like major cities were like London was like 20,000
But
people.
that's kind of semantics, you know?
Actually, I think at that
For the-
time,
so
40,000 people was the size of London.
We can't
but
say... Who said that? John Adams?
I said Madison potentially,
Oh,
but
Madison.
it might be a misquote.
Right.
'Cause I didn't research
whatever
it.
Founding father said that.
If they said it.
It was...
Because it actually
if
sounds
they-
like a modern thing to say.
Yeah.
But, that's why I'm worried that it's not even true. But it doesn't sound like. One time someone quoted something on Facebook that was supposed to be Plato, and it had the word ego in it, and I was like,
There's no
this
way
doesn't
that's
exist.
Plato.
There's no way that's Plato.
Yeah.
I was like, that's bullcrap. It's not Plato.
No, but oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, this actually kind of goes back to your online nations thing, though. Is I feel like 10,000 people can agree and say, okay, this one person will represent us. This one person.
You said can't agree or
they
can?
can,
Hmm?
and it not be tyranny. It would be the way that we set up our government, you know.
So I think 10,000 people. I actually think that's for the size population is good for a representative.
Yeah.
But we have way more than 10,000 people for some representatives, and
Yeah.
that is too much. And there's too many
And that
representatives,
doesn't actually represent.
and we can't
what
just
a
make more
lot of those-
representatives because
Yeah.
of the way our government structure works and how the House seats are.
The more cooks in the kitchen, the harder it is
That's
to
not
get
really
anything done.
Well, that's good. That's why our government is set up the way it is.
So nothing happens.
Yes, because it needs only things that everyone is unanimously agreeing
How many founding
on.
fathers signed the Declaration of Independence?
I think it was like 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, because it was
It's a lot of people. No, that's a lot of people
35.
to get one thing done.
Yeah, and they all like worked on like what should be in it.
Like
they all
we've
agreed.
planned events before, and we
we
had 10 people
No, it's
planning
like
an
50,
event.
It's like 15. We usually
15
have like 15
people planning an
which
event,
is half.
and it's so hard
Yeah, but
to get anything done.
running a country is a little bit easier than like a creative pursuit like art. Like,
yeah.
like running like things like what should exist is a little bit easier.
Everybody has an opinion of how.
It's funny that I said that running a country is easier than art, but I mean like running a country. Running a
I was
country.
gonna say, wait, are you hearing this right now?
Is easier than like making art together with a bunch of people, like good art together. It's really difficult.
I would disagree with that because I think coming up, like, everybody has a different idea of what would be the best way to accomplish something. And
but it's a lot more difficult to have that conversation if it's about like something as ethereal about as art. Like if you're gonna, I don't mean like
I think it's still
one writer does the writing
like
and one
ethics.
does. I don't mean like coming together to make art. Like one person's a filmmaker and one's a writer and then one's like an actor. I don't mean like that because that can be done easy.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Not easy, but it can happen. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean like 30 people writing
one script.
That is probably a bit more difficult than writing like a constitution or a declaration of independence.
I don't think so because I think ethics can be just as abstract as beauty.
Well, not if you are all from like the same culture where you
base
philosophy,
your ethics off of this
like,
certain
religion
or something like
or
that.
Or religion or like the principles of natural law that like people learn through philosophy. Like postmodernists have destroyed our culture, like so bad. Postmodernists, all of them need to go. They have interesting critiques, but a postmodernist philosopher is an anti-philosopher.
Bring a good voice.
No, they don't. Is anti-philosophy. The idea of like there is no truth is the anti-philosophy because you like. Philosophy is the love of wisdom, and wisdom is the being able to use the knowledge that you have, like how knowing how to use knowledge is what wisdom is. And if you can't know anything because nothing is true, there is no wisdom. And so postmodernist philosophy is anti-philosophy.
But I think postmodernist voice spurs people on to actually discover,
to be wrong?
No, to discover actual truth.
No, it's not. No, they don't. They don't at all. They get people into nihilist turmoil where they're just like, I guess like the only thing they can do is embrace the void. They don't like, they don't actually create value.
Okay, so all that to say, we lost our train of thought.
To an extent.
We were talking about politics, ethics.
Yeah, I was saying that it would be easier to but
when everybody has.
I was just saying that as a throw off thing. No, potentially, like they're gonna have fights because they obviously you're gonna have fights. But to make good art, all
thought ethically, you have variation.
You do actually want more hands in the kitchen when you're dealing with
a government.
A government.
Yes.
Not all of the hands in the kitchen, but you do want because that's
more
a democracy.
Hands in the kitchen. So what we need to do is like split our country into like 4 or 5 mini Americas.
The problem
5 presidents and whatever.
The real problem is.
That's your idea, is what I was saying.
Sort of. It's a little bit like that, but it's more like, why don't all the states just take care of themselves? Let them all have their own military, which is what the National Guard is supposed to be.
There was a problem with that, historically.
Yeah, it's hard
that was
to unify
definitely an idea.
It's hard to do World War II again. That's the problem. But maybe we shouldn't be doing World War II again, because a lot of people died.
Well... Yeah, but a lot more people could have died if we didn't. Or a lot more people would just be without freedom.
Yeah, England and like all of Europe, but like America, if they came to America, we would have crushed them.
But I just can't get behind leaving people. I know we had nukes, but I can't get behind just leaving other people to be enslaved.
They're not
like
our
if you
people,
have
though.
They're not our people.
I can get behind the government not being involved in protecting other countries because it's my taxes.
If they ask for you to help them, though?
Yeah, because here's the deal.
Then what if you need help from them?
You shouldn't. this is the deal. You can have situations where you make an agreement to team up.
I was gonna say,
I don't think it should never happen. No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
In society, and we have a peaceful society, is creating relationships between other countries.
Yeah, trade relationships. But not war relationships.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing:
relationships are stupid.
No, war relationships influence trade relationships.
They do.
If Germany had taken over everything, we would have absolutely no trade relationships.
That's not true, because we actually did trade with Germany during World War II. Before it started, like before we fought them, we were trading with them and England, because we were neutral.
Before they actually started doing what they were actually doing.
No. Like, Germany was attacking England, bombarding it with bombs, and we were trading with England, and we actually did secretly send them weapons, and the Germans blew up that ship.
Where did you get this information?
History. Like, we did trade with people.
We traded with Germany.
Yeah, because Americans and companies can do what they want. Like, the government can't stop them from trading with Germany.
How can you trust people like that, though? Like, imagine you traded with them to the point where they ended up actually being able to defeat
the Nazis
you.
were more trustworthy than, like, the Japanese. Like, when it came to making deals and, like, following the rules of war, like, the Nazis.
So then, what happens when you have the Japanese are running basically 1/3 of the world?
You
don't trade with them.
We didn't go to free Japan or free I'm totally down with I'm actually down with all of the war that we did, just so that way we could free the Europe. And
that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm cool with that,
if they had conquered, we could have crushed them the way it was, but like if they had conquered all of this stuff, they could have grown to big enough where they could have conquered us. And who knows what would have happened if we all lost our freedom, you know? It's just like...
So here's the deal.
You can't say that it would have... I don't know.
I think, like, when I say we crush them, I mean, like, if they tried to attack us, we would crush them. Because it's hard to attack America.
Like, I'm thinking about that saying where it's like...
oceans.
You know the saying in World War II where it was like, first they came for the Jews and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. And then they came for the African Americans, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't an African American. And then they came for so and so, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't. Then they came for me, and there's nobody else to speak up,
except for America.
No,
apparently.
No.
Because America is the ones that spoke up and crushed them.
Right,
so.
But here's the thing: imagine we just didn't do anything. And they came for all of those people, and then they came for America.
But America would beat them.
And they were strong enough.
I don't think they would be strong enough.
No, they could.
No.
If they had defeated Russia and China.
They didn't defeat Russia. Russia beat them.
But if they had gotten France and we hadn't helped them, if they had gotten England and we hadn't helped...
They did get France, and we beat them.
And then we went over there and stopped them.
England was not that much of a superpower. It was a diminished power, and it was, if they got England, we would, and then came after us, we would have still won. Because this is the reason I think that that's the case. It has more to do with geography than it actually has to do with population sizes. Because our geography is epic. Like the geography of America.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 oceans. We have like a vast land of like plains and then mountains on both sides, blocking things in. If they came over and they took over like New York, it would be really hard for them to do anything
make
else.
Any ground from New York.
Like we would, it would be like, that's what I mean by we would crush them. And it would it wouldn't just be us. It would also be the fact that our Navy was pretty strong, and they have to cross an entire ocean in order to get anyone here. With ships.
Or they could have ended up finding out how to... they could have developed nukes.
That's also possible, and they were afraid of that. But the Germans were more focused on building rockets, which is why we stole their scientists. We were like, hey, I know all these... You were all like super evil and doing all these terrible things to people and the Jews, but you know what? We like you now. Because we want your knowledge, so we can put our nukes on rockets and we can send them places, and then we can just take over the world. Because now we have the threat of the everyone's under the threat of just a nuke just showing up instead of like an airplane dropping it. It just shows up.
Shows up.
Which technically you can do. You don't even need rockets. You can technically, like, you could bring a nuke into like New York Harbor or like one of the harbors,
Just sail
it in and blow it up.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Very terrifying.
Yeah, like the fact that like people like one of those like.
Speaking of nukes, I actually want to go back to the energy conversation.
Oh yeah, nuclear. That's another one. Nuclear fission.
Nuclear energy.
Fusion. I think it's fission.
Fission, I think, is what
they're aiming for.
Energy.
Well, they haven't actually made it happen yet. This never worked.
They haven't. It's never worked.
Well, right now they are at the point of it being net neutral, like energy-wise, because they have to put a bunch of energy into it in order to make it work.
Yeah.
And so they're at a net neutral situation.
So it's not worth it.
Well, it is worth studying because the moment they
it's not worth enacting in any way.
Yeah, the moment they get cross from net neutral into net positive, we will be in Star Trek world. Like, it's gonna be because it's basically free energy.
Yeah.
At that point, the amount of energy that's stored, like nuclear energy that's stored in something the size of a cat, or actually like a cat, is enough to power a city for like a year. So it's basically free energy.
So this is really what we need to be putting all of our...
Not all of our stuff, but because it might not ever work.
It might not ever.
But we have gotten from
I think it can though.
Yeah, we have gotten from but also
we
nuclear
need to put more
nuclear fusion as well is what we use for energy now. And people are scared of that. Like, they don't like the idea of nuclear plants. But you and I live right next to one and it hasn't done anything.
Yeah. Well, they're worried that the radiation and stuff can have negative consequences on the environment.
Oh, yeah, it definitely can.
Definitely
like,
does.
Chernobyl was a bad day. And Hiroshima.
Yep.
Real bad.
Very bad day.
But actually, Hiroshima, like, people died. But at the end of the day, that tragedy was actually very limited because of all of the safety measures that they have. Because of Chernobyl, they learned that they need safety.
This is very
and actually, they were
dangerous.
breaking a lot of safety codes, which is why, like, they had, like, one of their...
Chernobyl?
No, Hiroshima.
Oh.
They, like, that was a critique brought up against the energy company of Hiroshima, being that they were actually breaking, or not living up to energy safety standards. But it still was not that bad compared to, like, Chernobyl. Chernobyl, I mean, actually it could be bad because technically all of the waste just went into the water, into the ocean, and just, like, flew away. Or rather than it just, like, sitting in the basement of a factory.
Where is it now?
Yeah, so it could be bad. We don't even know it.
We don't even know what is brewing out there in the ocean right now. Megalodon.
Actually, a neat thing that they did at Hiroshima is they actually attached, like, a radiation, I think they're called Geiger counters. I'm not sure. They attached like a radiation counting thing to little rat snakes. And then they let the snakes just slither around Hiroshima so that they could figure out how it was affecting the snake and the environment, and they could get readings from random places all over the place.
Oh my gosh!
Which I thought was brilliant because the snakes can get into places that like no one else can, and they'll live and they'll hunt and they'll.
Snakes weren't bad enough already.
Oh, radiation snakes.
Radiation snakes now too.
Radioactive snakes. No, but they actually teamed up with snakes to do science, and that is really neat.
And
like,
that
scientist
really
snakes.
Doesn't sound like a great combination in my mind.
Rat snakes are completely harmless.
Rats.
They just eat rats.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool.
Like, who knows what the radiation's gonna do to
them, another
though.
thing that's neat about snakes is they don't actually move around much. They will go to like all over the place in like
one spot, one area,
one little area. So you can just put like these snakes all over the place in the
And they
area,
kinda just-
and they'll get readings from the entire thing, which I thought was brilliant. Instead of
Yeah.
like, it's much cheaper than building robots to do that and trying
Yeah.
to like charge them and stuff like that. Just let them eat their own rats and whatever. Like, it's way
They just
smarter
do
to
their
use animals.
thing. You're just like, go be
Just
a
make sure it's
snake.
like a cheap thing that can
Oh my
give
gosh,
send you
you're
messages.
such a snake.
You don't, maybe you just get it, so you gotta make sure that like you're okay with losing the thing that you're attaching to the snake, because the snake might just like lose it, and you might lose the snake. But as long as you're okay with losing the equipment, just, that's actually really brilliant.
Yeah, it's just, but at the same time, it's kind of like you're still playing with like what is gonna happen, and like we've already seen like
What do you mean?
mutations from radiation, like animal mutations from
Yeah,
radiation.
but they're not
so
that bad actually. Like
They're-
like the wildlife in Chernobyl, like they say that the wildlife in Chernobyl,
is mutated and very.
they
Oh. Well, it did.
They might have some early on, like a
whenever
first couple weeks, but after that,
they adapt.
not just adapt. The wildlife there is thriving. Even though it's technically safe-ish to go there now.
You makes you stronger.
No, the real theory is that humanity is worse than a nuke. Is what the theory is. That humanity is worse to the environment than a nuke. And they're actually
That
onto
sounds
something.
like a theory that would come out of
That group of people?
this group of people.
I there might be onto something. Like, if you think about it, like all of our energy, everything we do for trying to make energy, like destroys everything in this area. Like, it destroys something. Like, oh, let's put a windmill in the sky. That doesn't hurt anything.
Birds are dying.
Oh, oops. Oh, let's use solar panels. That doesn't hurt anything. Oh, well, it turns into like these toxic trash waste that you have to put in the dump. When you're done with it, so you have to do that with the with the windmills as well. Oh, let's use a hydroelectric dam
Why
like the
does
beavers, and then oh no, oops,
Oops, we
just
just-
flooded an entire valley.
City.
Then you flood a valley, and then oh yeah, let's build a city and just
Killed
like
an entire ecosystem.
nothing can survive but rats and pigeons, which are sky rats. So like
Wait, maybe that's where we need to harness our energy from.
sky rats.
Sky rats and pigeons
No,
and rats.
I don't think
We can just get
can do
gerbils to
gerbils. Just run.
for.
Power my phone with a gerbil.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we should wrap it up. But
Yeah.
hey, if you have any
Solutions or
ideas about a solution for energy, renewable, sustainable energy, or how to help out the UK.
not
with
just
their
that,
gas
but
shortage or
we
something.
have another channel that we use for we're trying to tell the story of problem solvers. So if you know someone who is actually solving a problem in particular, we'd like to and not just like bringing awareness to a problem. That does not solve a problem. I mean, like actually solving the problem.
They actually have a solution to bring to the table that they want to try.
No,
they're
I
trying.
wouldn't even go there. I don't think theories are good enough. I think
Theories
like
are not
people
good
who are
enough.
actually doing
Just
the work
kidding.
that we can point a camera at. Because
Put
if you
some
just say
work.
like a theory, it's like, oh, what's your theory? And they're like, there's
If you
just
have a theory, you can come on the podcast.
yeah.
If you have an actual solution that you're
working
actually putting legs
and actually
to,
doing, we would like to film you and put you
Yes.
on the internet as an example of someone solving problems.
yes,
So.
yep. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.